Okay, so now it's June 22nd of 2026. Lady Jane did an upload, a video response in regards to the donation that I made to Mama Monica with the 9 children, 6 of them of her own, 3 of them from her sister who passed away. And they're singing me a song, these children. So we're going to start with that, and then we're going to talk a little bit. So let's just listen for a minute.
That song is for Mama Lynn, actually. I will elaborate. You are singing for who? For Mama Lynn. You are singing for...
So they're singing the song for me. So that's kind of cool, right?
Mama Lynn, you sing for her, God, so that God can...
So we just might get our choir yet. I've always wanted to start a choir. So maybe it will start in Uganda. A special song for Mama Lynn, according to them.
I said that I will not make
Let's praise him.
The neighbor's kid there. I told you that one is for another person. They are going to school. They want?
We praise him. In the morning, we praise him. In the afternoon, we praise him tonight.
So that is the song this kid are given normally.
Okay, so that is the song this kid... I missed that. I'll try and read because sometimes I don't hear very clearly. Oh my Lord.
Praise him.
The neighbor.
The neighbor's
kid there. I told you that one is for another person.
I told you that one is for another
They are going to school.
person. They going to school.
They want?
We praise him.
What? We praise him in the morning. That would be God, right? They're praising.
So that is the song this kid.
So that is the song this kid
normally.
normally.
All it is a song to praise God. Oh, okay. Okay. So I want to have a conversation with you guys. And I'm between I start with you, Mamito. Mamito? How are you, Mommy? You're fine. Oh. So guys, Bones and Kwagala, they are washing plates. Then they go and sell cakes. But today, I have some work for Bones. So I told the mother, the money which Bones is supposed to be making.
Okay. The money which is Bon is supposed to be making... Jumping around, Lady Jane. I'm a little confused.
Today, I think I'm gonna pay him because if they don't move with those sales, they can't get money for buying salt.
Don't move with those things, they can't even get money for buying soap. Oh my lord. Why is it jumping like that?
Of buying maybe sugar and other small things that we need to use at home, guys. So sometimes it's hard to stop him, but I told him today I'll buy all the cakes. I'll buy them so that he does not go walk in the sunshine the whole day looking for customers. So since today I've brought happiness in this home, let Bonnie stay. Let them stay. They don't go to sell the kales. Kales, I don't know now, kales. Kales for us here we call sukuma. In our previous video, I think you guys saw, you put on your head using a basin and you'll be walking saying, sukuma, 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 wabitano, bitano, wabitano, bitano. Bonnie, how do you say? Yeah, that's what they say. For them, they're already professional in that. They already know what to do. They already know that when I say like this, people will come and buy. So, Bonnie, basically, guys, that is Bonnie for you. He's not schooling. I want Bonnie to tell you people everything. I don't want every time to be speaking for them. So, Bonnie, when did you last go to school? You give me that microphone right here, Bonnie. Bonnie, when did you last go to school?
Last year.
Last year. And you were supposed to be in which class?
By now, this year I must be in senior 2.
I told them that Bonnie is supposed to be in senior 2. Here in Uganda, we have from senior 1 up to senior 6. So Bonnie was in senior 2 already. I told the people that the money which people had collected for condolence at his father's funeral is the money which the mother was using to push this kid to school, buy books. She could buy books and pay some little money, and still they will chase them back home. Someone sent me email, what about government school? Here in Uganda, if you're watching me and Uganda from maybe the diaspora, there is what we call development fee, and that is exactly what Bonnie and the Kwagala, Abdallah, they are paying. Abdallah, come here. Abdallah, you're supposed to be in which class this year? He's supposed to be in P3. The one who has been saying is very, very...
Hold on a minute. Okay, so basically what's happening here, it's 4:55 a.m. in the morning. June 22nd of 2026. What I'm watching on the fly because I turned on the computer and it was her running a pre-recorded video through a Premiere live stream, right? Kind of like what the province of British Columbia, Canada, was doing with their pre-recorded live streams that were sitting on the cash portfolio, and then under, you know, in 2020 with the COVID crap and all that shit that was going on, and then they run their live stream as if it was quote unquote live, but it wasn't. It was a pre-recorded with their statistics of how many people died over the weekend, when in fact that live stream was pre-recorded a week and a half prior to that restream. People are so crooked, it doesn't matter where you go. Anyway, I don't know how far I'm into this video here. I'm a little stressed out because Amari's been, I don't know what Amari's been doing. It's kind of a new thing. It's like he's been having these little mini seizures that last just 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, if that, where he just starts, right? And then, of course, I run and I pick him up, and, you know, Andre gets me cold face cloths, I wipe him down, and, you know, I have a little bottle of water, just a little bit, just, you know, to see if he comes out of it, and he's been coming out of it, like, really quick, so I don't know what the hell this is, what's going on, outside of he's been having, you know, constipation, and there's 1 or 2 things that are triggering these, whatever they are, because they're not your standard quote-unquote seizure, right? Because he's coming out of them too fast, eh? But lining up like with the seizure, right? You know what I mean? You have to be familiar with what I'm talking about. And it's either too hot in the house, right? You know, it's just being warm all the time, even though I'm taking off the shirt or the pants or whatever, and you know, there's a little fan running, and you know, even now I'm hot, right? I'm warm, you know, constantly warm. Plus he's been constipated, right? So, you know, we've been giving him laxative, and he's now just starting to pass, and I think that might be a trigger for what's going on between maybe perpetual heat in terms of the ambient air is higher compared to what the body likes. I don't know. All I know is it's been going on for, you know, over the last 3 days. He did it 2 days ago, 2 times. Andre caught it the first time. We dealt with it. He didn't go into full-blown seizure mode, so we didn't even have to give him the, you know, the seizure medication that stops the seizure, because, you know, he didn't go into full mode. Cleaned him up, whatever, because he was on the floor, I don't know, 4 days ago. And you know, I don't know why I tell Andre, like, no toilet paper in the living room, no paper towels, no diapers, don't let him get a hold of these things. Because, you know, he plays with them, puts them near his mouth. So I think he was, at one point, eating toilet paper that he was finding on the floor as he was moving around, because, you know, Andre wasn't taking me serious. And he was choking on that. But we dealt with that problem. Right? And then with him being constipated and with the heat, the next day in the evening, towards the evening, it only seems to be happening in like 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, Andre caught him going into right? Of course, I run, grab him, deal with it. He came out of it right away. He wasn't choking, right? There was nothing he was choking on. Okay. Got everything calmed down, laid down. He was laying on me, right? And we were falling asleep. And then I felt him. So, Andre, he's doing it again. So we jumped to action. Hard as steel, right? And again, he came out of it right away within the first couple of 2-3 minutes. 4 minutes, whatever it is. I wouldn't consider it to be a quote-unquote seizure because he's coming out of it, right? But it kind of like a seizure. I don't know. All right. And then I don't think he had it yesterday. No, he didn't have it yesterday. It didn't happen yesterday. But it happened again tonight at about 4 in the morning. And like, he was playing, he was quiet, he was, you know, making happy noises or whatever. Because I fell asleep, Andre was awake. I woke up, I said, okay, Andre, it's, you know, time for you to go to sleep here soon. So he was winding down, made me a coffee. Amari was being his happy little self, bouncing around, whatever. Andre changed him. Yeah, and then Andre was getting ready to, you know, just whatever. And then next thing you know, Nana. So I have to run. And he was, oh my God. I pick him up, and, you know, and Andre goes, gets the face, and now this is now 4 in the morning, right? Just a while ago, 3:30, 4 in the morning. And he, again, it was only a few minutes, 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes, you know, because he's either going to respond or he's not, right? If he doesn't respond, come out of it and stop this, right? Then you go on to the next stage, and get the medication, put it in a syringe, put it in his mouth to stop the seizure, right? But the seizure, whatever it is, stopped on its own 3 times. Is that you moving or him?
Yeah, I gotta go use the bathroom.
Okay. So, you know, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning and like we're on high alert here. Literally. I'm like jumping and Andre's afraid to go to sleep and Murray's just laying on the couch. I don't know if he's sleeping now, but when I checked him 15 minutes ago, he was still kind of, well, no, he fell asleep finally. But that doesn't mean that the shit won't start when he's sleeping, right? But when he did it tonight, well, whatever it was, 3:34 in the morning, Andre was on the verge of falling asleep and he heard it. And I was sitting here and I'm working on annual general meeting announcement to put over at James' house next door on the board so people can know what day the annual general meeting is and we can discuss whatever it is we're going to discuss. So it's quiet. I'm not listening to no videos, nothing, and I didn't even hear him. But Andre was getting, you know, starting to fall, but he heard him. So, of course, I go running and caught him, like, you know, it's like, right? Dealt with him and, you know, wiped him with a face cloth and made sure nothing was in his mouth and a little water and, yeah. So, I don't know, but he had a big poop. The poop is coming now. And I said, Andre, I think that's what's triggering because it's compiling, it compacts isn't in his intestines, right? And we've been using the laxative and prune juice and all this other crap. So, of course, now it's, you know, laxative, like a suppository. And so he had a fairly large, runny, I guess you can say, poop. He's still bogged up in there. I can feel it. So that could be triggering this, right? I know. So it's just, oh, I'm just so freaking paranoid. You don't even know, people. Anyway, so what I want to say is, besides all that, I'm calling an annual general meeting. I'm glad I seen this video because I can add in as a new business discussion as to whoever shows up to this annual general meeting at James' house, right? On such and such a day. If there's any way we can I mean, I already know what my hurdles are because I've already approached several people on the subject of helping Lady Jane in Uganda and being that...
Good night.
Yeah. I'm not talking too loud, right?
No.
I'm trying not to talk to... Huh?
Not good night, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, well, as long as I might have to wake you up around 11:30 if I'm not, okay? Just to give him his medicine, all right? Okay, let's... Just, yeah. What? He still needs his medicine around 11, right? So I'm going to have to wake you up. Try and get some sleep, okay? Okay, I'm trying to listen as much as I can here. Is that him making noise, or was that you?
That was me. I just popped my stomach and I did not like it.
You just what?
I popped a part of my body that I did not like it. It hit a nerve in my stomach. Ah.
You got that fan running, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to have to bring up the other fan and put that other one on the sewing table tomorrow and circulate the air more. It's getting too hot up here. It's too perpetual. I'd like to go downstairs and bring them downstairs and maybe try and sleep downstairs. The problem with that, though, is the rodents, because I don't know. I don't get a lot of time to work down there either. So anyway, I'll type out something just to open up the discussion, because as it is, anyone from Africa, for the most part, at some point or another, ends up sending money, usually back home, unless, of course, they come from a well-to-do family, right? Because that happens, where some people come from Africa and their family is, I don't want to say rich, but, you know, they're well off to do, so they're not, you know, they're not like other people that come from Africa where, you know, maybe they're a refugee and their family members or wherever part of Africa are in dire poverty and they send money home. And but, you know, just try and build on community development, starting with the one family. Just, you know, put it out there anyway and let people just express themselves. Right? And see if anything comes out of it. Okay, Lady Jane, that's the best that I can do. And of course, we got to continue on with these video updates, right, in regards to, you know, responses to whatever's going on. Now, I haven't completely watched the video here that you just did, but you keep bringing up my name. The kids are singing songs for me, and this is good. Now, I do want to mention that, you know how they say when you give to people, right? When you give charity to people, you're not supposed to give to get something back in terms of acknowledgement, right? Because then you're doing it for self-interest purposes, right? Because people can say, well, Judy's only giving because she wants to be acknowledged for this and that and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, you know, I've done a lot over the years. I've got a lot of opinions around it. Yada yada. I know what it accomplished at the time when I used to do the park events or when I used to work with the 40 to 60 kids up at Gateway Place in the courtyard and yada yada, or when I worked with home. I mean, I know at the time what was being accomplished. I know what the cost was around that accomplishment in terms of who are the takers and who were the givers and what I got in return in regards to whether it was support from the people that were receiving it or from the surrounding community, for the ones that hold the wealth, or whatever. And what I'm trying to say is, the situation that I'm in right now with not only trying to help in the short term by making a financial donation to vulnerable children and their caregivers with a broader objective when it comes to quote-unquote program development based on my history with the foundation that I work on, it is important that we do follow-up videos to try and draw in supporters and activists around the issues that are presented through these videos, because it's like Daniel, who's been now dubbed as Uncle Daniel, said to me that what Lady Jane shows us through her videos when it comes to the need within subgroups to the collective community. You know, you have your collective community and then you have your subgroups, right? Multiculturalism, even in Uganda, because the Muslims are moving in, or whoever, taking over the country. just like they're doing out here in Canada, whether they're from India, Hindus, Punjabis, or whether they're from Arabic countries and are Muslims, Sunnis and Shiites and yada yada, or whether they're Chinese. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, everybody's living in their own pocket within their own flock, building wealth basically for the collective that they belong to when it comes to a quote-unquote ethnic group or an organized religion. That same problem is happening in Uganda too, where many are being left behind because of manufactured poverty, right? So what Daniel told me when I talked to Daniel about the issue of the level of poverty in Uganda, where children are being left behind, you know, in regards to what Lady Jane shows us, compared to those who are prosperous in that country and where everything is grand and business as usual, there is a huge disparity. So much so that people become desensitized to it because it's humongous. In other words, the need is very great, much greater than what it is in quote-unquote Canada. But this we already know. We already know this. But he's confirmed it. And he said the way it works up in the Kampala area, to which Lady Jane is in and around now, that neighborhood. Same thing. Hold on a minute. Okay, I'm not rushing with this, okay? My eyes, well, forget the eyes. The eye is hooped. It's so easy for these doctors to say, oh, well, we can't stop the glaucoma. All we can do is slow it down. Yeah, right. Whatever. Every time I get something done, it gets worse like that, and it stays, and it just continues to get worse. Besides that point, I don't know. I'm really struggling with this eye. So, okay. So, let's get back to what Uncle Daniel. I said, you're Uncle Daniel now? I'm Uncle Daniel. I said, yeah, you've been promoted. Because he's from the Kampala area as well, right? And he might even be going back to Uganda for one reason or another. And if he does do that, I'm going to see if he can hook up with Lady Jane and do a shout-out video, right? So that we can continue to build on program development that alleviates some of the stressors that people are feeling around this issue in general when it comes to the high level of need in relation to the high level of poverty that's being experienced by a large number of people who have access to limited or to no resources to crawl up and out of that manufactured poverty that locks them in to being slaves to their government that are used and abused until there's nothing left, just like in Canada, okay? So, I think it's imperative that I try and write something into the annual general meeting in terms of new business to to open up the discussion where people are allowed to freely express their opinions when it relates to the burdens that not only are they already expected to follow through on, in terms of if you come from whatever country in Africa to Canada and your family is quote unquote poor from that country in Africa where you're expected to send money home, right? And people from India do it, people from China do it, they send the money home, right? Whatever money they can send, they send home, right? Which puts extra stress and burden on the person that came to Canada. And with the cost of living and the stressors that we have here, it's a double whammy, right? To the point where they feel completely depleted, where they can't contribute outside of the box that they're already boxed into. That's where we have to break that glass ceiling and find a way where, I don't know, and help more people, I suppose, more children, more families, more communities. How we do it, I don't know. So anyway, Uncle Daniel was saying that, because I asked him, like, what is the true extent of the poverty level in regards to what Lady Jane is showing us through her videos in and around the area from where you come from, which is the same area in and around where she comes from, yada yada. And he said, yes, it's true. It's true. The way it's set up down there in terms of, you have the major city, we'll just say Kampala, which is the capital of Uganda, from my understanding, if I remember correctly, which is a robust, multicultural, expanding, progressive, quote-unquote, city, right? With property development, building in their luxury condos for investors and yada yada, with thriving communities, whether they're Muslim, regardless of, everybody of a feather flocks together. So you've got this community over here from this particular country moving in, taking over land mass with another community moving in from a different part of Africa, or maybe flying in from freaking Greece for all I know, America, Canada, whatever. And so where the poverty is condensed, and it's like this in other major cities around the world, is in the shanty towns. Some people call them slums. Some people call them shanty towns. And that's where you have your shanty shacks, one after another, after another, after another, after another, with limited this and limited that, to the point where it becomes perpetual poverty, to the point where people become desensitized to it because it's too vast, it's too big, it's too much, it's too normal, business as usual. Good, it's good business for the ones that are really doing well to ignore. Never mind, is business as usual for the ones that are barely eking by and hardly have enough for themselves to survive, never mind giving to others. And that's why you have these shanty towns, which are on the outskirts of the major cities like Kampala, right? They're hidden away in the outskirts. And if they trickle into the cities, and they bring their children and put them on the streets to have them beg or whatever. People just walk on by because it's so much. It's overwhelming. You get desensitized to it. I know the Chinese do it. I know the Indians from India do it. Everybody seems to do it to one degree or another. So it's not just an African problem, okay? You know, sometimes, you know, they build orphanages and they lock these children away into orphanages, and you know, some of these orphanages like in Russia and Ukraine and China, you know, they just, yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, Daniel, oh my God. Oh my God. Daniel confirmed that the level of poverty on the outskirts of the major city is extreme, to the point where a large majority of the population that are just eking by and barely making it themselves, or are quote-unquote middle class. And, you know, it's just so overwhelming that people accept it as business as usual. And that's why oftentimes things don't change for the people that are basically living in squalor. Yeah. Okay. So with that said, it doesn't mean that we have to jump on that bandwagon. Okay. Not that anybody would want to jump on that bandwagon. You'd have to be pretty callous to want to jump on it. Right? It doesn't mean that we have to give up and be feeling defeated before we even really start. And even if we do start, we might have to restart like an engine. Just because the engine won't turn the first time, the second time, the third time, you know, doesn't mean that we can't get the engine running. It just means that we have to maybe do a few more repairs. We got to tweak it here, change something there, until finally the engine starts. And then once the engine starts, then we can start slowly maybe moving forward with it, whatever we're trying to do here, right? For the ones that just don't want to go with the old okie dokie, right? I don't know. So anyway, so yeah, I will write something into the agenda to discuss for the annual general meeting around this issue. What I'm thinking is maybe there's a way that we can do outreach and get a few local sponsors, even in a small way. It doesn't have to be a big way, just even in a small way, up from the Kampala area, where they're sponsoring what we're trying to do here in Canada. Just, they're not sponsoring us as they are sponsoring the program that we're trying to develop here in Canada in partnership. Like we're trying to develop a sponsorship of some kind, but we need people, boots on the ground from the Kampala area to also sponsor, and then we have to find a way to make it public where people can access it on a page on the internet to be able to confirm that what we're doing is legitimate. It would be nice if I could find a webmaster to build on the web page, but you know, I've been asking for years. That's an engine that never seems to get started, but I'm going to put down here that, you know, still looking for a webmaster for you know, somebody that knows how to make web pages to build on the website that I have. Whether they want to criticize and say what I have is old school and out of date and we need to revamp, that's not a problem. We can revamp and just add on to the archive of what I've done, right? And clean up what I've done. It's just that, you know, it's hard to find volunteers around that issue because, you know, it takes time to make web pages, right? And people want to get paid for their time. And if you can't pay them, nothing moves. So, anyway, I'm not going to worry about that. No promises, Lady Jane. Okay. Canadians are not what you think they are. On average, they're just not. Too many of them are stuck on the me and trying to accumulate wealth, and now with the economy the way it is, it's like beyond desperation because so many people are afraid to be locked into that you will own nothing, you will have nothing, you will be nothing, but you're expected to be happy. And the ones that do have, well, they're only interested in milking those around them that have barely anything, to the point where they take everything and leave the ones that they're milking completely broken and destitute. And that's pretty much where I'm at in my life. Okay, like you don't even know when it comes to pay for things that I shouldn't be paying for, to the point where it's putting my family in jeopardy because I'm at the point where I don't even have, I don't want to say savings for emergency. Like I don't even really have an emergency fund anymore, right? Because I've been paying for extreme yard work, which is pathetic. But if I don't do it, I'm going to be homeless myself because I'm being held hostage to a caste system that exploits those below a certain income level. It's just being done different than what's being done in Uganda. All right, so moving on. So I'm a little way into this video. Obviously, I'm going to add the link to it. We know the children are singing songs for me, so that's good. I don't know what Lady Jane did with the money that I sent to her for this family, because she hasn't shown me that yet. So maybe what I'll do is I'll turn off the video. I'm just going to watch, see what's going on in here. I know she was doing some shorts with children eating watermelon for the first time. I did see a little short where she brought in some paperwork with, 1, 2, 3, with the number, with the words, because, when I sent her to the email, I told her, just buy some homeschool stuff for the kids that can't go to school. Because the ones that want to learn, or can learn easily, because everybody learns differently. Some people struggle with it for a lifetime. Other people just breeze through it, right? And you don't know until you present the material to the kids. And the ones that really that enjoy academics will just naturally migrate to it and will self-educate for the most part themselves, as long as the material is available. Okay? And that's just a fact. The ones that struggle with it, academics that is, in whatever form, will either shut down completely and be stubborn their whole life and will be basically illiterate, and it is what it is, right? Or it will take them years and years and years and years and years and years to pass certain hurdles in order to get to a level where, they're functional with the academic part of life, or they're going to latch on, they're going to self-educate because the material is available, and before you know it, they're at the top of their class, and they didn't even go to school not once because they did it at home, and that's just a fact. So this is something Lady Nye Jane talked about when we were dealing with Mama Peter and Little Peter. Only I don't think Lady Jane took me serious back in those days, because now I see that she brought some paperwork for the children through her short, which kind of tells me she's on board with that agenda, because you are dealing with a huge problem where too many kids are not getting that information because the government itself expects poor people to pay into a system that is precarious because it's not consistent. In other words, if you don't pay to go to school, you don't go to school, so all of a sudden it's a big blank nothing. Where if they can't go to school, but you give them material, the ones that can organize it in their head and it comes to them naturally will just latch onto it and will self-educate. And that's when you just add on, add on, add on. And then they will help to educate the younger ones or the ones that are struggling. Otherwise, if you're waiting for the school system to do it, it might never ever have it happen. Especially when you're dealing with a country like Uganda. Okay, Andre doesn't like to learn. And if he does, it's for his ego when it comes to the computer. Sit him down, try and get him to write sentences, try and get him to read just whatever. you right, right? You know, bugging, right? Give him a computer, buy him a mic with a soundboard on it. Even though the kid can't read, he can set it all up, get the settings going, and get that mic to work perfectly fine and know how to use the soundboard. Like, how does that work? But yet, you can't sit and answer these questions and write it out because you want to be stubborn. Right? I'm just, right? So anyway, that's all I'm saying. Just the ones that have the aptitude, there's no stopping them. The ones that really struggle could take a lifetime and still not get through the tunnel. I gotta go. Okay, so I'm watching Lady Jane's video here, and she is calling Monica Madame Monica. So it won't be Mama Monica. We already got Mama Peter. And of course there's Mama Lynn and then Lady Jane. So now we have a Madame Monica, to which makes me think, Monica, if you're listening, and what I'm saying is being translated to your language, I think we should focus on a beautiful, beautiful, full-length African dress with vibrant colors with a matching headdress. You know, a matching scarf that goes around your head that matches your outfit. Yeah, that would be neat. I think that would be really nice. Right? Just to spiff you up a little bit. Bring a smile to your face. So in the meantime, I'm watching the video. Now, Lady Jane wrote this in. It just popped up, so I don't know when she wrote it, but either or, it just popped up. So I'll read it. In this amazing video, I share with you unexpected surprise, which arrived at Monica's home, unaware. She didn't expect her situation to change this should read fast, not first. Right? In reaction to everything, watch the video till the very end, and you will really love it. She's so happy and emotional at the same time. So, like I said, right, I've been talking about homeschooling with Lady Jane almost since the beginning of time, when we first started communicating through email. And she, you know, when I sent that money to her with the email, I said, for food, pay for food, buy a little bit of food. If need be, do a little back pay on the rent at $5 a month or whatever it is, you know, and buy some books, learning books, just to get the kids involved, whether they're in school or not. The ones that will have an aptitude for it will grasp on their own very quickly and will build through determination because they have a knack for it. The ones that will struggle, well, obviously they're going to need a little extra help, but the ones that are already know can help the younger ones, and at least they're learning versus not being in a school setting and not learning anything or having access to the material to learn. Right? You lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, whether it's in an institutional setting or in a home setting. And that's because everybody learns differently. Right? So, I'm assuming that she bought these books with the money that I donated on the advice of providing the children the material to have at least the opportunity to learn, including the mom, because she doesn't speak English, right? I'm sure she can't read English, but she can start with the basics: apple, ball, cat, doll. Right? Before you know it, within a year or two, everybody will be reading something, I would think. But they're not going to read anything if they have nothing to learn with at home. Right? And you'd be surprised what you're going to get from that. It's a mosh-posh. Because every child is an individual. Shemay did the majority of her school at home. Seriously, she did. And by the time she went into grade 10, she was already an honor student. She was well above her grade level in grade 10. But she followed through, and she graduated with honors with a background of homeschooling. Yeah. Where Sierra never learned to read. Bare minimum bones. No matter what you did with her, it didn't matter. It didn't stick. Because there was a glitch in there. Me? Took me a long time. I could read the words. I built on when I was younger, I did a lot of reading in novels and those kind of things, and I'd come across a word I didn't know or didn't know how to pronounce, and I'd look it up in a dictionary. So I'd build on word power in terms of understanding words. But when it came time to like writing and that kind of thing, it took a long time, really. Not until I was in my 30s and I sat down and founded the nonprofit did I get good at the English language, where I could express myself quite fluently, I guess you could say, through written language versus through speaking it, right? And I was 35 and up. Okay, even though I had a foundation of English. But, yeah. So let's just listen to this for a minute.
Mamito, go. It is saying, circle the right word for the given picture. Mamito, which one will you circle here?
Okay, so Madame Monica has an older son who's already been in school, clearly can speak English to one degree or another, has a foundation of English. So, you know, just through his ability, regardless of where he's at within the grade level, he can get everybody started on the bare bones apple. He might end up growing up to be a teacher yet, just by helping his mother and the siblings to get those first initial building blocks when it comes to phonics. Okay? Now, I don't know though, Lady Jane. I'm sure you're watching this video. I'm really struggling with my eyes. Really, really bad. But I'm not going to feel sorry for myself, and I'm not going to point my finger at my eye specialist that does whatever he does, and every time he does it, it just gets worse. It's not his fault. It's just the way it is, right? Okay. So anyway, I managed to type out for James. I kept it real simple. Now, there's quite a few people next door that know me, right? They know my situation. The problem with my situation is, I guess you can say I'm pretty good at faking the funk. In other words, I can't see very well, but I work around what I can't see through using my hands to see and drawing on my experiences of being able to see and do things. So, cutting meat when I was doing that beef jerky, for example, in the old days, when I was to slice it thin with a knife, I would use my eyes, and I'd get thin pieces of meat, right? But I can't do that anymore, right? So I have to hold it with the left, put my thumb, right, and then place the blade to my thumb and use my thumb as a guide to try and get a thin piece of meat all the way down that's fairly uniformed without even looking at it, because I couldn't see it even if I wanted to. Can I do that completely blind? Well, I probably could. Did you hear that? With these buildings? Shaking my shit. Something rumbling around outside as they're doing their construction. It's like an earthquake that rattles the house. Literally. Anyway, that was like a mini earthquake. You heard it. I felt it. And it's just another one of those situations with that heart of steel. Okay. So anyway, that's just an example. So I really did struggle, just because I can't see that well anymore, and it's getting really hard on me. So I'm really hoping that somebody next door will pick up on the task of being a secretary. Never mind a secretary treasurer. Because if things pick up, we're going to need a treasurer too. But no guarantees. Because if they don't pick up on this, that's what this meeting is about. If they don't pick up on it, they don't, you know, I watched a video about in the 1800s, or it was, I don't know when it was, but anyway, it was out in a homestead in the United States of America. And there was a woman out there, and her grandmother died. She was 26 years old, and she inherited the farm. And the grandmother, before she died, she said, when you're looking at something, right, you don't judge it by basically what you see until you give it a chance for it to show you what it can do. All right. So anyway, she got $11 in her pocket. That's it. That's all she's got. You know, the barn needs to be fixed, and yada, the cow's getting old, and she's out on the farm by herself, and, you know, the vultures in the neighborhood want to buy her land, and everybody wants to see her fail, because, you know, people are, right? All right. It's amazing. Things that people went through in the 1800s and 1700s and the early 1900s are the same things that people go through today. All right, so anyway, she goes to the farmer's market where they're selling livestock or whatever, right? With her $11 in her pocket. And, you know, she comes across these big birds. Like, they're big. They're not their standard sized chicken. They're across from somewhere anyway. They call them monster birds, and, you know, right? And nobody wants them because they produce these big ass eggs that were twice the size of a normal egg, right? And, you know, they were just whatever. But the thing is, the birds themselves, for the person that was selling them, he didn't want them because, you know, they were eating, right? And it was cost to feed, and nobody wanted to buy the bird. Nobody wanted to buy the eggs because they were big and they were speckled, and it wasn't your standard chicken size what they were used to. And so, you know, she's looking at those birds, and she's thinking about what her grandma said, right? Don't judge the bird just by the way it looks, because it's big, and nobody likes it the way it looks because it's, you know, it's not your standard beautiful chicken, and, you know, it produces big ass eggs that nobody wants. And don't listen to all that. Or just, right, give the bird a chance, right? Don't judge the bird on, right, something along those lines. So she ends up walking away, and then she goes back and she ends up buying all 37 of them in one lot, right, for $10. I left her $1. That's it, $1. And then, you know, in those days, $11, right, that was her feed, this, that, starter seeds, whatever. Okay, so anyway, she takes the birds home, and I think they were chicks, to be honest with you. What am I thinking of? They were chicks. I was looking at another chicken one. Either or. She brings them home, and, like, because they're a hardy bird, right? They are more resistant to cold and more resistant to disease, just the whole 9 yards. Anyway, she comes home, and they were small, right? I think they were small. I'm getting the story wrong. I might be mixing them up with something else. No, I don't think so. So anyway, her coop is not conducive, right? They needed incubators, right? But obviously she didn't have incubators. So what she did is she put the cages in her house along the wall, close to the heat or stove, right, to keep them warm so they wouldn't die. She lost 4 of them the first night, And then the neighbor came by, who was another older woman, right? And she knew all about chickens because, you know, she had her own farm and, you know, right? So she started teaching this woman how to look after these baby chicks. And they built in a system. They ended up expanding on the coop that was outside. Eventually the birds went outside. And like they became the natural predator to pests in gardens, right? Because if she didn't grow a garden, she couldn't eat because they, you know, didn't have money to go to the local general store to buy anything, and it was, you know, you're on the homestead, right? Okay. Anyway, a locust of grasshoppers came, right? And by this time, these birds were big, okay? Like they came to full size, right? So she released them, and they started to devour the locusts. And she moved them from spot to spot to spot to spot because she trained them as they were growing, right? And yeah, so anyway, long story short, when that locust came, she ended up going to other farms with the chickens to help her neighbor, right, to another farm to eradicate these locusts. All right, so that was one episode with those birds. And then winter came, and it was a very cold winter to the point where, because of the spring and just the growing season and everything, the wheat didn't come in. So the township actually went into a famine. Okay? But remember, everybody's laughing at her. Right? I don't know. Anyway, she invited everybody to come to her house, and she gave out free food. She'd fry up the eggs, scramble them, do this, that. Long story short, those birds ended up saving the town in more ways than one. Even though they were big, basically kind of, you know, not your standard looking chicken, and they produced unusual eggs. And all right, well, I don't know what I'm saying. I'll just read this. All I know is somebody's going to have to step up to the plate and help me with this, because it's just too difficult. Too difficult. I hope for me, because I can't see. Right? For somebody that can see, has basic computer skills, it wouldn't be a problem. The problem is, oh, there you go. You get that ooh, and then the ear just starts to ring. Wow. The problem is, people look at it and they think it's too big, too complicated, yada yada, and it might end up just falling off to the wayside. But in the meantime, I called an annual general meeting. Old business voted on adding new board director. Same thing, okay, right? Downsized on separate bank accounts. Okay. And then new business. Open discussion to vote in new board directors to form proactive board of directors in an effort to establish programs that enhance the community and its needs. So I left it really wide open, okay? And, all right. Discuss program development as it pertains to the trademark New Nations Unity class number 25 clothing and class 41 charitable services. And if we need to, I will add in another class, depending on what they want to do, assuming that they're serious, okay? And it costs me money to re-register for 10 years. Because it's already registered. It's just after 10 years you have to re-register. And since the last time I went through this process, the federal government has divided everything into classes. So it makes it a little more complicated. But besides that point, I'm halfway through. I already paid $500 and some odd, but because it's branching off into two separate classes, I'm looking at another $185 for class 41, and then if we add in another class, that would be another $185, but we'll see what happens. All right, and then I'd do the paperwork on that on a federal level, and then they've got, not me, but they've got 10 years of through the foundation, all right, federal protection to follow through on any programs that they're working on over that time period, right? And then focus for the next 12 months, membership drives, which we haven't done. We were supposed to, but you know. Park event for summer of 2027. We were supposed to try and do one for 2026, but that didn't fall through either. And needless to say, Papa Riley, DJ Riley, he had a stroke, so it's not like he'd even do a park event at this point. Okay, hall parties. Well, I'd still like to do hall parties, but you know, it takes teamwork to do that. So whether they want to do it, if they do, then this is the year coming up for them to step up to the plate and take it serious. We'll see what happens. And that would be for fundraising purposes. And fundraising retail sales of hats, t-shirts, and other clothing items. And that's where class number 25 under the trademark comes in. Okay. And then build on existing website to, but then I'm looking for a webmaster because I can't really work on HTML anymore because it's getting really hard for me to see anything on the computer these days. Never mind just walking around and trying to do this kind of stuff. I don't know what's going to happen to me, but besides that point, build on existing website to update, document, and promote and expand on all initiatives, including securing sponsorships for goodwill purposes. Okay? So they'd say, well, what's that supposed to mean? I'd be like, okay, all you people in here, for the majority of you all, at some point or another, you're sending money back home to your country of origin, whether it's Uganda, Sudan, Tanzania, Kenya, and so on, right? And with that said, there's got to be a way with the right teamship, right? Where we can build in the sponsorship. Like, for example, I'll just use Uncle Daniel as an example. Let's just say Daniel goes back to Uganda and he calls up Lady Jane and says, okay, Mama Lynn said, let's meet. He does a video. Maybe we can do a 3-way live stream. And through that process, maybe we can find a sponsorship within the local area of where Daniel is and where Lady Jane is to just support, first of all, morally, right? What we're trying to work on And then if they're able to contribute towards the local initiative that is being developed in that area where Lady Jane and Daniel are, not including anything that we might be able to secure out here for moral support purposes first, whether it's through a business or just through the group in general in terms of the members here, where we can, you know, just not drop the ball. So, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'll give it my best shot. Right? So, hold on a minute. I'm gonna watch this video a little more.
Which one? Good girl. You see, Mamito still remembers these things. Her name is Nakayuza, but when she was given birth in the hospital, according to Monica, the nurse, the midwife, named her already Mamito because she was like looking like a white person, very brown. Mamito, the next one there, which one will you circle?
Wasn't I just talking about chickens? For crying out loud. Okay, so I'm watching. I'm listening. Lady Jane is going to make an effort to teach the children and whoever else is around, right? There is no restrictions as in who wants to learn, I guess in this case, English, right? As for the annual general meeting, I'm going to ask James if I can do a live stream while we're doing it, because I think it would be a good idea. The ones that don't want to be in the picture can just move off to the side. And we can do a live stream through Andre's cell phone, because he's already hooked up for that. Yeah. But I'd have to bring Amari with me, and I would want to anyway, because of what's been going on with him with these, I don't know, mini seizures. I'm not sure what they are, really. Nothing I'm familiar with outside of it kind of seems like it's a seizure. Now, I am going to be seeing the neurologist in July, right? So, you know, and I've already said it's either a combination of being heat related, because, you know, it's hot now and it's been hot, and just with the constipation and, you know, his guts grumbling because he's getting the laxatives, and, you know, it's hard. Okay, so whatever. Something is triggering something here. So I kind of need to be there the minute it happens. So it's not like I want to leave Amari anywhere. You know, I kind of want him close by until we get past this little rough patch, right? Whatever rough patch we're in. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what I'm up against here when it comes to Amari. So it's best that Amari can come, right? And he would just basically sit in his stroller, right? And it's a meeting, so it'd be very quiet for the most part. Like, it's not going to be, you know, whatever, right? So anyway, she Lady Jane's asking for a chalkboard and some chalk and some mats, which makes sense. I'm thinking of those little chalkboards, you know, the smaller ones. I don't have one handy here, right? Or the wipeout boards. Probably chalk would be cheaper than the wipeout pens, right? But you know, those individual sized chalkboards where the children can just keep practicing, you know, whatever it is that they're working on, right? Versus, yes, have pen and paper, pencil and paper, but you know, they might want to just wander off, and after school is over, homeschooling is over, right? And then just practice, right? Without having to do it on paper, right? So that's something to consider. To which I also wanted to say that several of these people across the street that go there and visit, or yada yada, they also support homeschool centers or learning centers, school center. I don't know. There's one or two people out there that said that they've already, quote unquote, created a school. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know to what extent. I don't know how deep into the game they're with it, if they're struggling with it. I don't know how many supporters they have. I don't know where they get their supporters for it. But they have already established something. So I'm hoping they'd come to the meeting to show mentorship, show us the right path to walk on in terms of what we're trying to do there at the meeting. See if we can collaborate with each other and partner up, at least for that moral support, build on a network, right? So that people have choices. I'm just saying, right? Hold on a minute. Okay, still watching. Madame Monica wants to say something to me. Clearly, I don't think she speaks English. So Lady Jane will interpret it. And it's like Uncle Daniel said, what we're looking at here is real. This is not theatrical staging of any kind. And we need to take it serious as a group, that life isn't all honky-dory where everybody is okay when it's not. So the sooner that we wake up to that fact and stop justifying being part of the problem versus part of the solution, for those of us that want to be part of the solution, we just keep moving forward. So this is what this video response is. As it is, somebody's going to say something to me for cranking the wheel and getting the process moving faster, sooner than later. Right? In regards to what Lady Jane has been saying. Because Madame Monica didn't expect a response, I suppose, in terms of support, financial support, in any kind of capacity as quickly as she received it through me, because I responded as soon as I came upon Lady Jane's video. Right? Now, is there anyone else out there sponsoring? I don't think so. Obviously, we need more sponsorships, right? And of course, if you're getting into homeschooling and you're in a neighborhood where there's a lot of little kids that aren't going to school but would benefit from gaining access to basic education on through phonics and simple chalkboards, yada yada. Well, it's going to expand. All right? The little friends are coming in. They want to be a part of school too, whether it's homeschooling or not. Right? And it's not illegal to teach children how to read, or to identify numbers, or to identify letters, or anything like music. I already seen one child there banging on something, playing a drum, made their own drum. There's enough paraphernalia there. They could make a whole symphony of drums. You flip over a bucket, you got a drum. I'm just saying, right? So there, she's going to say something now. It's YouTube thing there doesn't. It's Mama Lynn, okay. She's going to say something to me, Madame Monica.
Akakisa, nkuwaigire. Say something.
Niraziza Mama Lynn. Uliga kukonya bukasera ngani sirina kyakulya sirina kintu kyonna kyonna naye kati omukusa omukusa okungabirira.
She got her hands moving around. She talks with her hands. Yeah, she talks with her hands. You can see that right off the bat.
Good God. You say what? Pole. Like she's so happy today. Today is not a day to cry. But because Monica is someone who's so guys, she's trying to tell. I will not say everything she has said because also me, I don't know the language very well. I am a Luo by tribe, she's a Bantu. So she was trying to say thank you to Mama Lynn. Who is she to get such things? She didn't expect it. She has been suffering with her children for a very long time. Who is she? Thank you, Mama Lynn. That's what Monica is trying to say. By the way, she's very, very happy. Very, very happy. Just that, some people, when they're happy, they will not show the way they are happy, but instead they cry. Deep down, I know Monica is happy. Miracle is happy. Miracle, you're not happy. Miracle is the one who started even eating our sweets already. She has eaten some. She has eaten like 2 already. You have? Mamito? Mommy first give the children some sweet. You have. How are you feeling today?
Feeling so happy.
They are feeling so happy. Even Monica, these things she eats them once in a while. The remaining one she will keep for her children. So this is posho flour. It is for mingling ugali. This is 10 kg mingling ugali.
Okay, so I guess she's passing the food that she bought, which she buys in bulk for the most part, you can see. Okay. Whoever is holding the camera is shaking a lot. For me, the video is very blurred, and of course, I don't see that well, right? And my mouse disappears. Okay, so for her children, so this is cocoa flour, is for some sort of meal. Okay, and then she's got something else that she got, right? So let's just pay attention. Okay, and when that it helps. It helps, right? What can you say? When you're feeding a large household, it helps. Every little bit helps. And you want to have a little extra because shit happens in life, and it gets you through, right?
Look at all of these children. This one now we put here, the one we have been. So this is rice.
And then she bought a big bag of rice, right? It just alleviates the overall stress of feeding a family.
Kilograms.
And you have to remember too, in Africa, it happens anywhere really, you're feeding the kids, next thing you know it, a couple of other kids show up to visit the kids because they're friends, and you're feeding those children as well, right? And because the environment is so like a high population, very condensed, right? You know, housing unit. I don't want to be derogatory. I don't want to say shanty after shanty after shanty, but that's basically what it is. So housing unit after housing unit after housing unit after housing unit, which ends up becoming a shanty town or slums, depending on what word you want to use, but it kind of boils down to the same principle where, you know, the people in the cities are not paying attention to the suffering within these communities, whether they're further out in a village setting or just on the outskirts of major cities like Kampala. Okay? They're the lost and forgotten. That's what I'm trying to say. They're the lost and forgotten. So, you know, not too many people thinking about spending $100 and going off buying a few bags of this and a few bags of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then going into these, you know, high density, impoverished areas by no fault of the people that are living there. It's not their fault. They're trapped in it, right? And then just passing on, you know how they say, pay it forward, right? So, anyway. So rice, 10 kg, so that's 22 pounds of rice. Yeah.
You bring beans.
What's that? And bring beans. And obviously Monica is happy for that because it's a protein source, right? Somebody was happy and excited for beans.
This is beans. You bring Irish potatoes.
And then potatoes, Irish potatoes, right? Potatoes you can survive on, believe it or not, and they give you all the nutrients that you need if you are facing quote-unquote famine, right? But obviously the potatoes in this situation are just a supplement, and to, yeah.
So this is Irish potatoes. These are bola. Put it the other side. Put it the other side. Put it the other side.
There's a big bowl of potatoes.
Bring the other bowl Salt is a problem here in the village. So I bought for her some salt, 2 bars. These are pencils for my children.
Tubers. Okay. There are pencils for my children. Bought her some tubers. I can't see that well, so I'm not sure what they are, but...
And Monica has gone to finish something inside, so I bought for her 2 kilograms of onions.
And then she got some onions, 2 kg of onions, so that's like a 5-pound bag or so, right? Right? 1 kg is 2.2 pounds, so that's 4.5 pounds of onions, so that's good.
You bring tomatoes.
Onions are very good for the blood, right? Build up the immune system, so that's good. And then, of course, tomatoes for vitamin C. Lady Jane always comes with tomatoes.
Just remembered.
Always.
Tomato for her,
Yeah,
tomatoes.
every video, I remember her coming with tomatoes.
Then we have onions. They are here.
Yeah.
No pills, no powder.
Okay, hold on. Okay, we're back.
This is Monica's favorite curry powder. I bought
Curry powder.
more than enough for her. Let me try to count on. Hey, Monica has to do here.
Makes me want to make some curry rice with beans now. I know Andre would love that. Not so much with the Mari. It has to be very mild. But yeah, sounds good to me.
You have. Then we have, these are tea leaves, guys.
Tea leaves.
Then I bought for her 2 liters of cooking oil.
Cooking oil, 2 liters.
Then I bought for her salt. This salt is from
Salt.
Kenya, big size. Then sugar.
Did you notice the kids? soon as the word sugar came up, it was the kids that was going, yeah. Mom was going, yeah, for the salt, but the kids, they want that sugar. Oh, my Lord. Oh, I don't know what's going on with this stupid computer.
Then soda for the children.
Oh, they got lucky with soda.
Watermelon. Then
And a
I
big-
got a
big-
watermelon for the kids, the fruits. I
Watermelon.
to get for Monica. Monica, when you touch her skin, so the children, they are this time. Her skin is, let me say, I don't also understand, but she needs to be smooth. So I bought for her a Mara. This one is yours. And Bamaline told me to buy books for the children, so I looked for the books I know it can help these kids. So I bought Early Child English, book 2 by
Okay.
Jennifer Shigozi Muviro. This book is very, very good.
It's a start.
In the middle of the video when we are starting, you can see the kids, they love it so very much. So I bought this type of book. Then I try to zoom so that they see.
It's a start,
See. I
right?
don't know how to see, but this book, it has a lot of things. It has mashing, it has sound. What
Now-
is the sound of letter F?
The beauty of living in this situation with children compared to being in quote-unquote Canada, competing with a computer to get the attention of the child, or the cell phone, or the TV, or whatever electronics kids are in front of from the time they're born. And then the older they get, well, you know how it goes. All these children, they're going to be 100% involved with whatever is going to manifest from this, see? And like I said, some will latch on real fast and will just grow at their own pace and will surprise the adults more than the adults would expect. Where others will struggle and may even struggle for a long time, but they will also develop other skills as they go along, right? You know what I'm saying?
That sound, there's so many things. So this other book I bought, it is from 1 to 100. So I want people like Miracle, Bamito to learn how to count from 1 up to 100 since they are not going to school and we haven't gotten that chance to take them back to school. So this is the book from 1 up to 1.
So this is where you want 100 pebbles, right, to represent 100 pennies. So the more you can get the pebbles to the same size to represent a penny, just in English terms, then you've got your manipulatives, because they're going to need manipulatives, right? And because you learn visually. Some people learn better visually, some people learn better by hearing it, some people learn by actually doing it, where other people would like to use manipulatives to reinforce, and that's what helps to cement whatever is being learned in the brain. So I would go pebble hunting and get different sizes to represent different coinage when it comes to coins. I suppose I would think Ugandans have coins, right? You know, a penny, a nickel, a dime, a quarter, a loonie, a toonie. That's what we call them out here in Canada. I don't know what they call them out there. So, just have people look for pebbles and start organizing like little rocks, just little pebbles, right? Unless, of course, you can find other manipulatives that are similar in shape and sizes and yada-yada for counting purposes, whether you're counting money or you're just counting in general, adding and subtracting, obviously multiplications, right? You have to bring in some manipulatives now at some point.
100. So, yeah, you're touching with your head and bought 6 books so that they can also learn how to write. I bought 6 of them and also bought pencils. I want them to learn how to write as they are home as well. So this was my own idea, this one. This one, buying the books for them to learn from home. It was Mama Mimi's idea. So these are just normal exercise books, as you guys can see. They are normal exercise book.
Yeah, and then I would recommend expanding with individual chalkboards, or at least chalkboards that can be shared. So 10 chalkboards. Get 10 so the adults can use and the kids can use. And if you get a few tricklers coming in from the neighborhood, friends coming in, little kids, you have a little extra. Otherwise, you'll have to share, right? So I don't know what the cost around that would be, but they're called slates. They're about the size of a computer screen, right? You know, I'd start off with maybe 10. So you need to price out if you can even find them. I would think you could.
So, Bonnie is the camera person. I will give Bonnie 2 books. Bonnie, you have. These are yours. You can do any revision. Bonnie is in second. It needs revision. So, I will give Abdallah 1 for revision for Abdallah. Yes. I've given Asad also you. And I will give also Mamito 1. I want them to learn how to write. The books are not enough for all the children, but those are the things I managed to buy and to do. Then Mama Lynn also, these are books, guys, haven't you? This is...
Okay, to buy and to do the normally. Also, these are books, guys. I wasn't sure. Oh boy.
Beans, I bought beans, rice, and kosher. We have Irish potatoes. We have our labolo there. We have sweets for the children. Me, I don't forget the children, even though the man is like very small like how. I normally think about the children also, so I bought for them sweets. What is this? This is tomatoes. This is tomatoes. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. May God bless you guys so much. Mama Lynn authorized me to give Monica.
Authorized me to give Monica
$5, which I'm going to give her on the camera. Go and bring my bag.
$5.
So Mama Lynn told me to give her $5. So those are $5. Told me to give it to her. Now those are the evidence. I don't want to say. She said you give her. You didn't give her. You said you.
You don't want to say. She said you can give her. You didn't give her. You said.
You give her off camera, which is not the good thing. So me, I've given her. She has received her money. Though me, I normally give money privately because when people see, they be like, "Hey, now she has something like that." So I fulfilled whatever she has told me to do, and I want to take this opportunity.
Okay, I think that's for the rent, right? Whether it's used for rent or not, I don't know. I thought there was a little more back pay on the rent, but you know, right?
To thank Mama Lynn, thank you so much, Ma. May God bless you wherever you are. And I pray that the situation you are passing through currently, may God come through for you and may everything be okay. The God who did this, who gave you, provided for you to give you this money, and you sent it for us here in Africa to help the needed. I pray that the same God solve your situation that you are passing through. May the same God multiply the money you have sent here times 10 times. That's what I'm praying for you. The children, they are very, very happy.
Sure.
Monica is very, very happy because she didn't expect what has happened here today to happen. And I promise the people who are watching, if you want to still help Monica, right now we are trying to see whether we can get for her where to stay permanently. We are looking forward to take Bonnie back to school. Those people, if anyone can help us, I want you guys to help us do that. They go back to school. Then another thing I want to remind you, on the 26th of this month is this boy's birthday, Abdallah. Then Abdallah, her birthday is on the same month, but on the 30th. So if you can do something for them, they have never celebrated a birthday. So they will feel very, very good. So Irish is there in the lesson. We also bought Irish.
Okay, so we're not quite done yet. If you can see, she also bought a chart for them. she mentioned earlier in her video that she wanted to buy a few more charts along the way. So as I'm listening and I'm watching and I'm thinking, you know, always thinking, right? And the annual general meeting is coming up. And I'm working on fine-tuning the niche with the federal trademark. This is a really good time to, I don't know, I might have to get another category. Because when you do, you do international donations, it can get fickle sometimes because governments try to manage quote-unquote terrorist groups, right? So, there's always the code this and bylaw that and rules, mandates, and legislation, and fees is a big one. You gotta pay those fees down the food chain, it's not just one fee, but it tends to be sometimes more than one fee. So what I'm trying to say is, being that I'm gonna have this general annual meeting, I should probably, I have a phone number that I can phone directly to cut to the chase before the meeting to find out what a class there's I don't know how many different classes they have under federal trademark, but see if there's a specific class, because everything that Lady Jane is doing is legally registered here in Canada already and has been for over 25 years. I just didn't get the community support that I needed with the foundation, and that's including the other board directors that were involved, right, to move it forward. But we're at a new chapter. It's that train just chugging along, okay? And I know for a fact there's a few people that will probably come to this meeting if they're informed of it in enough time, right? Because, he has to put up whatever. And, if not, there will be somebody there, I'm pretty sure, that we can discuss that networking to build in support systems for what Lady Jane is doing based on what the people out here that are already doing in their own country. Like Charles, for example. The last time I seen Charles, and I brought up the foundation and, whatever I was, right? And he said, well, I already started a school. I said, you started a school? How did you do that? He started a school in Uganda. Where? How? I don't know, but he said he did. And he runs it. But he runs it from over here in terms of, I guess he fundraises. I'm not sure exactly how he does it. But that's who I'm hoping will come to the meeting. And I think there's more than one person that does that. So if we can collaborate where it makes sense for everybody to build on and expand on what they're already doing, and inviting Lady Jane into the fray to build on what she's doing through that collaboration and networking, that might work. And then, of course, I have to see if there is a class under the federal trademark name that would be applicable to this type of program development on a legitimate level where it's actually documented and protected under law, per se, right? We're not a registered charity in terms of a foundation, because that's a whole different ballgame. But we are a registered non-profit, a society in the province of British Columbia, Canada, that operates under a federal trademark, okay? So that makes us national. So Anyway, I'm being flooded with all these emotions because, you know, it's so easy to talk. But it's another thing to produce results. Right? So for as much as I talk and for as much as I want to see good things happen, doesn't mean that I can make them manifest to happen. Which, based on 25 years of quote-unquote failure in the real world of politics when it comes to wheeling and dealing in millions of dollars, to which I haven't even generated that first $1 million first, even though I had a dream that I would generate $1 million and it would not be my money. And I do realize dreams can take years and years and years and years sometimes to come true, and I'm still hanging on that dream, waiting for that $1 million. But then I had that, Punjabi freaking board director walk off with my certificates, talking about he gonna go get $2 million, signed up his buddy, and then came back, said take off his buddy off as the board director. And when I'm asking for the freaking certificates, he's telling me he to F off. Like, what the fuck? You probably got your $2 million. You ran a scam. Who knows? That's for the government to figure out. That's an Uncle John moment. That's like Uncle John being scammed for his money when he inherited his money and he got robbed and then locked away like a dirty secret. You know, people are crooked, eh? Either or, like, you know, if I can, you know, and this is another reason why I want to do the live stream when I'm at this general meeting, so that people like Lady Jane and likewise-minded people and whoever can hear for themselves that at least we're trying. At least we're trying to do something. Will we be successful with everything that we do? No. Is it all going to happen overnight? No. But I can see something happening, and I'm going to just hang on to that good note. And if Charles can do it, the foundation and Lady Jane can do it. Right? Through Charles' encouragement and moral support. So if he shows up to the annual general meeting, you know I'm hitting him up. Okay? Okay, so now I'm watching Monica cut up the watermelon, and I don't know if they know. I don't know, right? You can eat watermelon rind. I think you ferment it in sugar or something for a little while, and it makes it sweet and softens it, and it preserves it at the same time. So if they don't know that, in terms of Lady Jane and whoever else is in the neighborhood, because I don't know, right? They need to figure that out by Googling how to preserve watermelon rinds so that you can eat them. And then, you know, nothing goes to waste, right? I'm just saying. Okay, so Lady Jane said that they don't know what watermelon is. This is the first time that they've had it. So I know that you can preserve watermelon rinds and make them palatable, right? And I think it's done through a fermentation process. Okay? So that just extends what you already have in terms of nutrients, right?
Come, you just test. He does not want, he has refused. They don't know what it is, but I just decided to buy for them to taste. You try. Look here. That one doesn't want. It is not good. Okay. So everyone here is tasting for the. They also don't know what they are eating, but I will make sure every time we change this fruit. So watermelon is good, guys. See, Miracle has never eaten watermelon, but you see, she's eating it as if she has eaten it. She's calling it pawpaw. Me, according to her, she's eating pawpaw. Bye, guys.
Basically, these kids don't know what watermelon is. Even Mamito has added that she has refused. This one is eating now the outer cover, but the first one which they gave her, she ate. Miracle, you eat. Eat. You see what she's eating. They don't know. This is their very first time eating watermelon, guys. First of all, here, watermelon is very, very expensive. This one only, it is 10,000 Ugandan shilling. It is big. But it is, I like watermelon. So, me, I normally buy for people what I can also consume, not what I don't want. Are you guys getting? This love is too much. Or even me, I want love. Miracle, show me love, show me love. Type of love is too much. Oh. Jesus. Show me love also. Someone is enjoying life.
Yeah, there's a lot of rind on that. You definitely want to save that and do something with it. Okay, so we're going to end this video on this short, which was the last upload.
Mira,